Hi, everyone. Glad to have you all here at LawTalking.com. Uh, Today, here we have a very interesting panel discussion. Rock, paper, scissors, central banks cover deficits, and COVID-19 crushes austerity. A very big name, a very interesting name, and a very interesting discussion. We have Marc Pilkington. Am I pronouncing your name
Yeah,
correctly?
that's perfect. Fantastic.
Associate Professor of Economics, University of Burgundy. Also, we have here Jeremy Wallis. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Sorry.
Yeah, close enough. It's good.
Okay, great. Associate Vice President, Strategic Growth, Stonegate Global Funds Services. So we have this panel discussion as a start, and then in the end, we have several projects to pitch and to show what ideas they have, what projects they have for you to judge. Marc, I know that you have something to say in the very beginning.
Yeah. So hello everyone. I hope everybody's doing fine. I'm just going to skip the presentation part. We just can stay in touch afterwards if we want to. So my reflection today started with of course a reflection that started a few weeks ago on the whole situation that we are going through at the moment. And I'm somebody who believes that I believe in the power of metaphors, of analogies to try to understand, to decipher the world and the big issues that surround us. So I started with a very old Chinese game that was invented 2,500 years ago. You're all familiar with this game. You've all played it once at least, probably many times in your life. This game is rock, paper, scissors, which was invented in China 2,500 years ago, a bit like coronavirus, but in a way that was way less toxic. It spread to the rest of the world, to Southeast Asia, to Europe, to North America. And it provided this game the structure of my talk today, which I'll try to keep as short as possible, try to provide a pattern, a structure to try to make sense of everything that is happening at the moment. So let's say that we're watching like a DVD. The title would be A Brief History or Recent History of the World Economy. So we're back in 2008, just after the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers. So we are in times of chaos, a bit like today, I would say. And what are governments doing all around the world? Very quickly and lightning speed time, they are implementing fiscal stimulus packages, which at the time were unprecedented. They're bailing out, of course, the banking and the financial sector, but not only, the real economy too. If you remember GM in the US, the manufacturing sector also benefited from these bailout packages. This, of course, ensured the global recession, so negative, we entered negative territory for GDP all around the world. And a few years later, if you remember, I think 2011, it started with the Greek crisis, which spread to the whole euro area. And we had this euro sovereign debt crisis, if you remember, and these famous words by the ECB governor at the time, Mario Draghi, who said that we would do whatever it takes to save the euro, which was kind of under attack on the financial markets because of the fear and the uncertainty that was prevailing at the time. So what happened at the time? In 2011 and 2012, markets realized that these deficits, that as a result of higher fiscal spending, but also as a result of lower taxation receipts as a consequence of the recession, well, we had deficits that were probably considered as not really sustainable. I mean, as the path was considered very dangerous. So what central banks did, they decided to inject massive amounts of liquidities into the financial system in order to get the system going, I would say. And this is, if you analyze, what happened, in a way, it did amount to the monetization of fiscal deficits, but in a way that was indirect, because it was not possible to inject these liquidities through additional fiscal spending because government could not spend the money that they didn't have. But central banks were in a position where they could inject these liquidities. So I call this in my title that actually the central bank started to cover the deficits, a bit like the paper will cover the rock, in the Chinese game rocks, as these papers I was talking about. But before that, we had governments that decided to cut deficits because they realized that these deficits were no longer sustainable. So this is, the scissors and paper analogy, also in my presentation title. And finally, so these quantitative easing policies, what were the consequences? Very simple. The markets were provided with some relief, with some gigantic amounts of liquidities. But if you look at the balance sheets of the central banks, they inflated in a way that we had never seen before. If you look at the size of the balance sheets, whether on the asset side or the liability side, they grew fivefold, tenfold, I don't know, you name it. I don't have the precise figure here, but we had an inflation, not an inflation in the economy, but we had an inflation or an expansion of the balance sheet of the central banks. Now, 8 years later, 2020, we have a new scenario. We have COVID-19, which is a massive shock, exogenous shock to the world economy. And if you have noticed over the last few weeks, these austerity policies that were implemented at the time of the Greek crisis, they have been blown away. Why? Because in the name of urgency or emergency, we governments, central banks all around the world, where we're talking about the Federal Reserve, where we're talking about the ECB, we've decided that the top priority was survival, was not to let the economy collapse. So again, we've had this fiscal stimulus packages that have been put into place. Now, just to give you a figure to give you an idea, in 2008 and 2009, there were two stimulus packages, not one. The two together combined, 2008, 2009, they amounted to 5% of US GDP. The fiscal stimulus package that was approved and signed into law by President Trump a week ago, 10 days ago, in fact, amounts to 10% of US GDP, $2 trillion, okay? So that's unprecedented. So nobody can say today that austerity, cutting deficits, budget deficit, or balancing budgets is a priority. It's not anymore. The priority is basically to try to go through this crisis, but in the very short term, to try to provide relief to the real economy in terms of guarantees, loans, emergency loans to businesses so that they don't collapse. So this analogy between the rock, scissors, paper, Chinese game is not perfect. It's not perfect. Why? Because if you play that game, in fact, you have a probability of 50% that whatever you're going to choose, okay, is going to dominate your opponent. Okay, you name it, but the probability is very easy because in fact this game is what we call in mathematics, it's a closed system. Okay, like three elements. Each one is dominating another one and is being dominated by a third one. Now, the problem with COVID-19, if it's one of the three elements with austerity, central banks, and then the third element, COVID-19, it's not being dominated by anyone right now. It's a lot of governments throughout the world or central banks have been using the war analogy or metaphor. We are at war against the virus. We are at war against COVID-19. I'm sorry to say that, but at this moment, if there is a war, COVID-19 is winning the war. is winning the war. Why? Because it takes time for R&D, for pharmaceutical labs to come up with some viable solutions. And whatever happens, I really hope that we go through this crisis as soon as possible. But the consequences, the economic consequences, the financial consequences will not be wiped out like that on whim. So it will take time for the economy to recover. I think we all agree with this here. And also I was wondering about this, okay, this balance sheet thing. Is there a limit to the size of the central bank balance sheets? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows, anybody has the answer to that question, because we all know that the fear, if the markets decide that this trajectory is no longer sustainable, maybe there could be inflation coming one day, or hinging back through the back door, hinging on through the back door, and that will be dangerous for everybody. Okay, so one question that I'm raising, one issue that I'm raising here, is this a dangerous time today for fiat currencies? For the US dollar, of course, that is playing the role of the international reserve currency, the euro, the major currencies. Is this a turning point? Are there going to be major changes, transformations in the next coming months, in the next coming years? I don't know. I'm just raising the question. Is this going to benefit crypto? If you look at the last few weeks, Bitcoin doesn't seem to have played the role of refuge currency that we tend to attribute to this cryptocurrency, that it's a refuge in times of crisis. The dollar is playing that role right now because the dollar has been appreciating, and the currencies in the emerging world actually have been plummeting. If you look at the recent currency movements, it doesn't look so good for emerging markets, and the dollar is showing resilience, I would say, as usual in times of crisis. Now, this is short-term situation. I am personally, I'm not convinced that this situation is going to hold in the medium run. Like maybe we're not having a status quo with the dollars, with the US dollar, the different major currencies, and maybe we can anticipate some important and very significant changes ahead of us. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball, but I feel like raising some important questions with you guys today. So yes, what is going to happen with fiat currencies, with crypto? Are we going to see some fundamental systemic changes in weeks, in months, in years to come? I would love to hear your views, guys, if you think this is a relevant topic. My analogy with rock, scissors, paper was not perfect, but it gave me some insights into what is going on at the moment and how we can try to make sense of everything that is happening. That is obviously not easy, and for a lot of us, we are in uncharted territory at the moment. But we are still here using our brains, using our minds, and try to come up with some ideas and some solutions. So I'm going to stop here right now for my short talk, because I don't want to monopolize the space. And sure, I would like to give the floor to Igor.
Sure. Yeah. That's a very good start. Thank you very much, Marc. That's a very interesting analogy and comparison. Very interesting one. And so, Jeremy, would you like to add right now anything here?
Yeah, I mean, you know, most of what you said, I completely agree with. You know, in the US, we're definitely in a recession. There's going to be no avoiding it, and we're probably going to need a second stimulus. At this point, you know, interest rates near zero around the globe. We just printed $2 trillion. I think inflation will set in at some point. But given that all the major central banks are printing, you might have a devalue of equals. It's quite interesting because given that it was the longest bull run market that we've seen in modern financial history, a lot of private investors had gone into cash starting in 2016, 2017. And right now in the stock market, you see a bounce, partially due to the stimulus, but a lot of money was sitting on the sidelines, is coming back into the market looking for bargains. But I don't think they realize that, a lot of these companies are not going to be sustainable, in terms of, Buffett bought back into the airlines, but I think, after he realized where international travel is going, in the next 2 or 3 years, that's why he dumped Delta. There's fundamental shifts in how our economy is going to work. In the U.S., obviously the dollar is appreciating. Flight to safety. There's nothing new there, but our economy is at a complete halt in a lot of arenas, and it's going to require another stimulus, most likely an infrastructure bill. But long term, I think it's great for crypto. You saw the Bitcoin price drop significantly during the COVID outbreak. I think partially that was due to most institutional folks that were dipping their toes in the crypto water, were in Bitcoin, and to offset a lot of losses in traditional markets, they essentially sold their Bitcoin positions because it was the only thing that was up year to date. And a lot of funds went to stable coins, in anticipation of a drop. But I think long term, Bitcoin's not going anywhere. It's started to see some price movement upwards, but who knows what'll happen.
Jeremy, thank you very much. So right now I can see a very important question that is was also up today. So, is the role of dollar as international reserve currency threatened? Well, as Marc already mentioned that question already, Jeremy, what do you think from perspective of investor?
I don't think so. I think crypto or Bitcoin in particular, offers, a bit of an alternative, but I think the dollar is still gonna, remain the global world currency for at least the next 8 to 10 years. Central banks have all touted creating digital currencies, and I think that will continue. Once the digital dollar, so to speak, is created, it's going to be, the reserve of crypto. Most of the stable coins that are directly pegged to the dollar are doing quite well, and continuing to thrive. And I think that's not because they're crypto. It's simply because they're pegged to USD. I don't know though. It's Chinese yen could emerge over. They're now a reserve currency at the IMF. They have been for 8 or 10 years now, and you've seen countries around the globe continuing to take larger positions, but it's still mostly dominated by the dollar. There is room for other currencies to emerge and take a larger market share, but that's not going to happen overnight.
Yes. Okay, I see. Jeremy, thank you. Marc, what do you think on this question?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so what about the dollar?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to, because I'm hearing a lot of proposals, how to make the current international payment system more efficient, because before 2008, we had growing macroeconomic imbalances, the US-China trade deficit, and that would have some spillover effects to the economy, because most of the American debt would actually be owned by China. So the dollar would be the Federal Reserve would be printing dollars after the crisis. But in a way without any limit, without any theoretical limit, because it's enjoying this status of international reserve currency. And I agree with what Jeremy said, that I don't see things changing anytime soon, because the dollar is what it is. Okay, it's still reigning supreme. I don't see Bitcoin either as an alternative, as a massive alternative. As Jeremy said, it's a bit of an alternative, but it's not like a systemic alternative. Libra didn't happen. We didn't talk about Libra. It's still, an unborn project. Yes, there are a lot of stable coins actually that are doing well, but we haven't, I think, in the crypto world, come up with some sort of massive alternative that could possibly challenge the US dollar, or even, the other fiat currencies, where you're talking about the euro or the yuan, are still what they are, significant, but no way close to the US dollar, to the role the US dollar is playing. However, what I would like to point out is that how can I say that? At the moment, the US is suffering from a leadership crisis, a bit of a credibility. I would say that. I don't want to give names, I don't want to talk about Donald Trump, but the way the crisis is being dealt with right now, what Trump was saying a few weeks ago, what is happening right now in the US, if you want to assume that position of a leadership in the world, look at what China is doing. They've taken their responsibilities. They are, I think, on the verge of overcoming the epidemic. I mean, I'm touching wood for them. It's one thing that I would like to point out, that you cannot decorrelate completely this US dollar international reserve currency status on the one hand, and on the other hand, the leadership position of the country that is issuing this currency. So what now is one question, I don't have the answer, but I'm wondering what is happening, what is going on, if there's not a bit of a credibility gap, if markets are not going to evolve, if there's not going to be a different mindset. So probably not now, okay? But Jeremy said there's an 8 to 10 year window where things are going to pretty much stay the same. I wouldn't be so confident about this 8 to 10 years, but what is going to happen? I don't know. I don't want to say I've got a crystal ball and I know better than you guys. Yeah, so that's.
Thank you, Marc, very much. That's a very very deep view on the whole situation that we see right now. It's very interesting to have that views from those who really understand how it's going. And right now, not a lot of people really in the whole world understand where can it go. So this is very interesting to have this kind of a discussion. It's a shame that we don't have several more participants for today. So, next time then we have more discussions like this. And right now, I think we should continue with our projects. Give them a word to speak and to pitch their ideas. So, Steve, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Great. Steve, are you ready?
Sure.
Great. Please start whenever you're ready.
All right. Yeah, very interesting comments. I'd love to chime in on that discussion, but right now I just wanted to take a little time to show you about our project, the football coin. And, basically on the idea that was being discussed a minute ago that, will something challenge the US dollar or whatnot? I think I think the bar is much lower. You know, the economic value of the US dollar is over 247 trillion. And, you know, Bitcoin is at 157 billion. So even a token that can create a good utility case among, you know, 500 million people for a specific purpose could gain market caps larger than Bitcoin. Now, our project is called the Football app, and it implements the Football coin. And this model is basically set up in such a way that we allow revenue sharing with users, and we allow small businesses to be able to access our users, and they use our token to spend, buy ads within the app. So it creates a circle economy. It circulates, you know, the economic value of advertising through our network. And then if people want to trust that as a secure store of wealth, or use it in other purposes, you know, of course they could. So it's a football themed social network that is aimed at circulating the economic value of the attention to digital media with football around the community, to help the football clubs, to help the small businesses, to help users, to help people have access to being able to buy cleats and whatnot. And it all centers around the app. So the token is implemented in the app. Users earn it there. Then they spend it at small businesses inside the app who have a pay register created by us. And the reason those merchants are accepting that token is so they can attract those users into their shop, and so that they can get that token and use it to pay for ads. So this creates community and real usage and advertisers and businesses, and allows that energy to flow. This project is built, it was many millions of dollars to build this. It took years. We did this all privately. And then we launched it on the Greek island of Cyprus, where I live, at the beer festival some months ago. And it was a hit, and the app took off. 5,000 people from the festival became 50,000 people on the island, with hundreds of businesses accepting the token in the real world. And I'll take a minute to show you what that app is like, and what's been happening what's been happening in, sorry about this. Okay. What's been happening in the previous few days has been quite interesting. I did a demo on this, it was only a week ago, to the group here. And this is the football app. It looks like a social network, news, whatnot, ads are embedded in. They do predictions as a game. It's got lots of football data. Again, you can see where the ads layer in into the game here. And it's also a social network. This Moments is kind of like Instagram. And 5 days ago, we had 100,000 people, and 5 days later, we have 168,000. And those people are coming in from, we gained 18,000 people in India in the last 72 hours, 10,000 in Bangladesh, 5,000 in Indonesia. These are all organic. We don't do any marketing. People heard about this model. They're getting into the app. They're earning this token. Then with the token, they create a wallet. They earn points. They convert it into our token with a click of a button. And then when you click the spend button, there are businesses, hundreds already around the world, that are accepting this token as payment. So if I wanted to walk in today, and in Cyprus, you can pay in a lot of places, right? I could pay here with the token. Let's say my bill, $43. I would just click pay with TFC and get a receipt. So that's the basic app. I'm just going to take through 30 seconds of data points about the token growth. We're on the Stellar blockchain, and we are now making up. Stellar has 4 million wallet holders, but only 39,000 daily active accounts, and we are accounting for 95% of that. So we are just starting, and we are already accounting for 95% of the use of the 12th largest crypto ecosystem in the world. And you could see that our platform can grow into the millions of users very quickly. At the pace that it grew in the last 72 hours, we would be in the millions of users in 6 weeks. Our users do activate wallets. There's 87,000 wallets that have been activated. They use it for real payments, 274,000 payments in the last 90 days. And if you take a look at the wallet activation graph since the beer festival, this was in Cyprus, and now it started catching on in other countries organically, and I don't expect it to stop.
Steve, sorry. Thank you very much. I think it's about time.
Got it.
Okay, so we're doing this pitch session one after another, and then our jury will give you one feedback for all the projects. So thank you, Steve. Ben, are you ready? Ben, are you here?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Great. Please share a screen and start whenever you're ready.
All right, awesome. Minimize you guys. There we go. All right, my name is Ben McClosic, and I'm a part of Locotech, an ASIC hardware manufacturer. Locotech is a Norwegian technology company that develops ASICs for the cryptocurrency mining industry. We have developed a powerful new script ASIC, which can be brought to market in 6 to 8 months upon funding. All significant tech risks have been mitigated, and all necessary partnerships, both upstream and downstream, are established. Locotech's conservative base case is 10,000 units sold with full year profits before taxes around $15 million. The problem is that profitability is currently in a low cycle for cryptocurrency mining. Price of power has been stable, but mining profitability has been declining. There are few profitable miners on the market, with 5 million miners that will need to be upgraded soon. This creates opportunity for Locotech because we will have the most profitable miner on the market. These are the 3 platforms that we're going to be offering. Your middle is your standard single tube miner. The right is the enterprise miner. But what our customers want is the bare bones, and that is upgradable hash boards that can retrofit into old unprofitable miners. And what is important about this is you can reduce and reuse your infrastructure, your fans, your enclosure, your PSU, which can save you time and money. Benchmarking against the competition, as you can see, Silicon A6 Plus is our nearest competition. We beat them on revenue a day, we beat them on power consumption, we beat them on hash rate, and overall our performance proxy, we beat them by 3x. However, our actual hash rate is 6.5 gigahash at 1300 watts. This extra 2.38 gigahash goes directly to Locotech via service fee. The service fee equals daily reoccurring revenue for Locotech. Every 3 miners sold equals 1 miner for Locotech, or basically $5.60 per miner per day. The benefits for Locotech is we can mine without any cost. The benefits to the customer is they get to lower their per unit cost while having the safety, knowing that we won't release millions of units to the network that will cannibalize it and reduce profitability for both parties. Here's your monthly time frame and milestones. However, I want you to pay attention to the last part, shipped out by Kimball Electronics. Kimball Electronics will manufacture, test, pack, and ship to the end user. This combined with pre-sales will enable us to maintain a lean operation with no warehousing risk. Here's a list of a few of our strategic partners. And as you can notice, our ASIC designer we're not allowed to mention. However, we can tell you that Locotech owns the GDS2 file, but not the 40 plus patents that went into it. However, since we can't let you know about the ASIC designer, we went out and got our tech third-party verified by Inventus. It's a part of the CGI group, which has a $15 billion market cap and top 5 in the world for IT and business consulting. The team is quite lean right now. You have me, I'm in charge of daily operations. Ola is in charge of the finance, tax, and business structure. And then Christian Rustad is the brains behind the tech. Here's our pro forma. And we have extremely conservative sales numbers, the 5, 10, 15K units sold within the first year on the left. However, I'd like for you to pay attention to the small chart on the right. The 65 units or 65K units sold in the first and second year. Go down to the line that says revenue from service fee. As you can see, as the more units we get out there and get plugged in, that exponentially increases over time. And also our internal expectations are more between 100,000 to 200,000 units within the first 2 years. Locatech's outlook after delivering a script ASIC. We do have a shawl ASIC because much like the script ASIC, they share a lot of the same architecture. So we have about, our shawl ASIC is about 40% completed. And we can do this organically, either by, finish it through sales, or we can over admit in this first round. And the market potential for selling a powerful new shawl 256 miner is absolutely monstrous. For financing, Locatech is seeking 3.5 million USD in a hybrid equity model, offering 1/3 of the investment as equity and 2/3 of the investment as a convertible note. The convertible note is designed to be valued at the company at an audited book figures 1x accumulated 2-year EBITDA. The hybrid equity model reduces valuation risk, reduces cryptocurrency exposure stemming from the service fee, and secures investors a fair stake based on the actual performance. So why invest into Locatech? It's a huge market opportunity, no real profitable script ASICs, one-of-a-kind business model that allows you to sell a product and receive daily residuals from each unit sold at no additional cost, and a dedicated team that is ready to bring this to fruition. My name is Ben McCloskey, and thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Ben. Thank you for your presentation. Anthony, are you ready? Please check your microphone.
Yes, I am.
Start whenever you're ready.
I saw.
Please share a screen and start.
Share screen. Did I share my good screen?
Yes, it's very clear.
Yeah, it's only with the TwoLocal signing it, right?
Yes, please do it on the full screen for the better understanding.
So, I think this is better.
Yes.
Welcome. I'm Antoni Xiang, CEO and founder of TwoLocal. I'm very excited today to talk about TwoLocal and how it can change the world for the better. Thank you for being here with us today at Be a Change with TwoLocal, prosperity, sustainability and prosperity for all. Value creation by innovative banking. What we see nowadays is a world which is unsustainable and most of the people living in poverty. What we see here are the symptoms. Do you know what the root cause is? And we already talked about it. The root cause is our monetary system. To explain this, I have selected the following quote for you. Banks must be trusted to hold our money and transfer it electronically, but they lend it out in waves of credit bubbles with barely a fraction in reserve. Satoshi Nakamoto. These banks, as we heard earlier today, will keep it in reserve, but will create about 10 times as much new money for lending out. And creating money as a result inflation instead of value rise. The bank asks more money back as they have given out by asking interest. This is also the problem we see now with the COVID-19, because everybody is in debt, we have to pay back, and the economy can provide this money. But as you all know, he had a solution. He called it Bitcoin, and the revolution started. The Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency, to be denied, discredited, and banned by governments and banks. And now we are going to take cryptocurrency into the next phase, to their full potential. We are building our own ultra-fast blockchain, fully ERC 721 compatible, within a unique cashback system, multi-currency wallet with a marketplace for Android and iOS. In this marketplace, you can find our connected companies. Connected companies. We connect to companies who work by the Sustainable Development Goals guidelines of the United Nations. Oh, am I still here?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I lost you, but I go on. Yes, we connect to companies who work by the Sustainable Development Goals guidelines of the United Nations, or those who work local to local. When people buy at these connected companies with the TwoLocal coin, they will receive a cashback once a month. Our unique cashback system works as follows. For every transfer done with the TwoLocal coin, 1% fee is paid for the cashback system. We sell this TwoLocal coin with 1% discount in the TwoLocal app to our users. When users buy with the TwoLocal coins at connected companies, they will get a cashback once a month with a monthly calculated maximum. For example, you spend $30, you will get a cashback from $5. When you spend $100, you will get a cashback for $30. And when you spend $1,000 or more, you will still get $30. So the most needy benefit the most. The company sells the TwoLocal coins, which they receive from our users, to the exchange. And TwoLocal buys the TwoLocal coins at the exchange using a smart trading algorithm. This algorithm ensures a steady climbing exchange rate for TwoLocal coin. The coins are kept for 1 month in stock to be sold to our users. The profit from the value rise goes to the cashback system and operations. So TwoLocal doesn't profit from its users, but creates value with its users. Why invest it now in TwoLocal? The new era of cryptocurrencies, join with a company who is stepping into banking. Only a cryptocurrency used as money has enough liquidity to rise in value. Only investments. This is the only investment round, giving out shares. Other funds will be raised in IEOs. Be part of saving the planet and the people by achieving a sustainable world. High stake and no share dilution afterwards. Bonus of 25%.
30 seconds.
Of the invested amount. And we have we give 24% out of stake for $500,000. Positioning. For positioning, I have to tell how we see sustainability. This is companies, those that are profitable in the long term, protect the environment and the natural resources, and contribute to the social equality and equity. So a lot of companies are not sustainable. For example, Tesla underpays their employees, using resources which are mined under very bad conditions, and will run out in time.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yes.
Could you please maybe show us some of your last slides with the offer for investors? What is your raising goal?
Yeah. Oh, so, yeah. I already thought we go for the 500,000 for 24%, and the rest we do in IEO.
Okay. Thank you, Anthony, very much. Because it's all the time. It's already a little more than 5 minutes.
Thank you.
All right, Jeremy and Marc, could you please give feedback? Who would want to start?
I'm gonna let Jeremy, because I'm just trying to get my screen back, which I have a small problem on my laptop. So just, yeah, I'll let you go first, Jeremy. Hello?
Okay.
Certainly. It's hard to speak to the mining project. We don't do any mining investment. I would just mention that SoftBank is putting a lot of money into mining, and they want to own that entire market. So I don't know. There's certainly opportunity. But there's a lot of stiff competition coming in. but yeah, it's hard to speak to that one. The football coin, I think, is a great project, and football is something that is very universal, huge opportunity. And the last one I see as a great idea. I'm just not sure in terms of market adoption how that roadmap would look. Incredible idea. It's just it's difficult to tell what's going to get adopted, etc.
Yes, Steve, can you maybe answer that questions? Do you have any kind of adoptions in the situation that we are right now of your project?
Yeah, are you saying, I mean, our project is booming right now. Even though football matches have stopped, our app is a social network that is football themed, the way you'd have a football themed sports bar. We're a football themed social and communication network. So people, because it's combining kind of the greatest hits of Reddit, Instagram, Twitter, and Telegram, and then adding the ability to earn and use a token within the app. The current tough conditions are actually helping us. And then as our model is to help small businesses get access to customers, when a business reopens, the people who are going to need help the most in the business world are the small businesses. And so while it's quite sad, all the difficulty in the world, it does shine a spotlight on the model we created now, and we're doing extremely well in these conditions.
Okay, thank you. Anthony and Ben, would you like to add anything here?
Yeah, I think good point. Market adoption. We talk with a lot of companies, and we go to the people by the companies. And that's the way we want to reach the people, because we are not like a football project. We don't have a platform just for people going by themselves. So we use the companies to get their clients to be our clients also. That is a very good point.
Okay, and Ben?
Yeah, no, it's typical feedback. We are in a niche market for ASIC mining hardware, and we know that it's not for every investor. So no, that's typically what I expected to hear back from Jeremy or any investor actually. But if you know anybody that's at SoftBank that wouldn't mind taking a look, that'd be great.
Certainly.
So,
Okay, thank you. And Mark, and also Daniel, we have Daniel here. Hi, Daniel. You have your microphone turned off right now. And to be honest, we already started. We had the small panel discussions already and pitch sessions of free project. So it would be great, of course, if you would be there a little earlier. You have a microphone turned off. Okay. Yeah, still. Okay, so Mark, can you, are you here?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. No. Three three different presentations and projects. What can I say? The mining one, I see a very competitive field. There was some very sound research and figures that were provided. I don't know if I'm competent enough to really, put my hand on the feasibility of the project, but I can definitely say that there is an attempt to go ahead and propose and put some value on the market. Now, the first one, football, I liked it too, because I think there is a sound business model, that there are some very good ideas. It's obviously a very difficult period right now for football. Maybe a bit of less of an effort here in terms of identify the competition forces You know, you can use any model you want, but if you have identified any competition that could stand in the way of your project. And the third one, I see it as a very interesting, a bit more holistic, with some very interesting perspectives about banking, about sustainability. And here I would echo what Jeremy said, that it maybe needs to be a bit more convincing in terms of market adoption perspective. So I don't know if that makes any sense, my feedback, if I can add something. Are we having a fourth pitch, or I'm not quite sure I understand what's going
No,
on.
it's only 3 projects for today.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, so thank you.
Okay. Do you have answers on the feedback of Marc? Okay. Okay, so yes, I can see that I just had information from Elena, from our host, that in terms of the score from judges, Steve had the first place with the football project. So congratulations, Steve. It's great having you all here. So let's continue doing this panel discussions with pitch sessions. Sorry, Daniel, we already finishing. We will hope to see you next time for sure. So thank you very much.
There was a problem. There was a technical problem with our connection, and it's been impossible for the last hour. So I'm truly sorry. Thank you so much, and I am sure that it'll be a great success. And I'm truly sorry. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you too. Let's keep the same. More discussions later on our next panel sessions. Thank you all the participants. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.